Patch 7.2 will be arriving soon, and so it is high time to figure out what was going on in the MSQ up to this point. This video will be a quick recap of the MSQ through 7.0 and 7.1. I will be uploading another video where we will have a quick recap of the Arcadian story before the next part of that raid comes out. So if you find this type of content useful, make sure to like and subscribe so I know about it. But let's start with our journey in 7.0. We travel to Tural to assist Wuglamat. She is one of the 3 children of Kulul Jaja, the current leader of Tuliolal. He is the first Dawn servant of Tural, as he is the one who went around and united the different nations of the land. But as he is getting on in age, he has put on a competition to choose who will become the next Dawn servant. And that is why we are here with Wuglamat. There were 4 contenders: Wuglamat, her oldest brother Suralja, who is the only biological child of the Dawn servant, and Koana, his other adoptive child. The 4th contender was Pakul Jaja, who won a competition to allow him to take part. Through the competition, we searched for the City of Gold while visiting the different cultures in southern Tural. These were the Hanu Hanu, the Pelu Pelu, the Sabral, the Moblins, the Mamulja, and the Yokyu. Over time, our competitors fell out of the race. Pakul Jaja had a nervous breakdown, Suralja broke the rules of the competition, and Koana ended up quitting to support his sister. And in the end, we ended up finding the City of Gold, which was this peculiar futuristic locked gate that we did not get to explore immediately, as we were whisked away to take part in the ceremony where Wuglamat became the new Dawn servant. And she decided that Koana would also become a Dawn servant with her. And during the celebration, we saw Suralja steal a key to open the gate to the City of Gold. Believing everything was fine, it was time for our group to split up a bit. Wuglamat had to learn how to be a Dawn servant. Krail, who had come along to learn more about her grandfather's travels in Tural and her own history, stayed behind in Tuliolal to learn more about the City of Gold, and we went with Erenville to visit his homeland of Yasulani. But before we made it there, we saw his entire homeland overtaken by a massive dome. And from the dome came futuristic flying ships and mechanical soldiers which attacked Tuliolal. These were led by now more mechanically looking Suralja, who fought his father and died doing so, only to be resurrected by the artifact on his head, and then killing his father. But he was unsatisfied with his victory, so he challenged Wuglamat to come kill him within the dome, else he would resume the attack on Tuliolal. Knowing we had to stop him, we blew ourselves away into the dome using the train in Shalawani. And there we find 30 years have actually passed within the dome, while a matter of days have passed outside it. We learn the land that is fused with the Yaslani is called Heritage Bound, but was once known as Alexandria, and is led by Suralja and Queen Sveen, which we meet pretty early on, and Wuglamat quickly befriends. We learn about the regulators which people in the dome wear. This is the peculiar artifact that resurrected Suralja. These regulators store souls, allowing the user to be revived if they die prematurely in combat or accident. It though cannot prevent death from old age or disease, and most alarmingly, it removes all memories of the deceased from everyone wearing a regulator. Meaning, as soon as a person wearing a regulator passes away, the regulator sends out a signal, and everybody who knew them simply forgets they ever existed. During our time in the dome, we join a resistant group called Oblivion, which is led by Erenville's mother. Though she is not physically there, she is somewhere remotely controlling a flying robot, which he uses to talk to us. Through Oblivion, we also meet a child Mamulja. This is Suralja's son, who is called Kululja. He has a guardian named Otis, who once was a man but is now a mechanical knight. Otis was actually the first person to volunteer as a subject for memory extraction centuries ago, when they were still figuring out the technology, and he has ever since been trapped in a robotic body. He did this because during the war in Alexandria, Queen Sveen died, and this allowed the scientists of Alexandria to figure out how the technology worked and revive Sveen, or at least a digital avatar of her, which is what we have been meeting so far. But as we are working on this, Eorzea grows impatient with us just kinda hanging around without attacking him. So he has his soldiers attack Tuliyollal again, which is defended by Koana, the Science, and Bakul Jaja, who now has turned into a good guy, and some of our older allies from the east, including our dragon friends from Ratsatan, meaning the city manages to stay pretty safe. But he doesn't stop with just that. He also turns the mechanical soldier on his own people of Alexandria. And during this attack, Otis sacrifices his life to try to save Queen Sveen, not knowing that, well, even if she would die, she would just inhabit another body. And during this fight, we make our way up to the top of Everkeep to take on Eorzea. There, Eorzea tells us why they are attacking Tuliyollal. There is an energy crisis for the people of Alexandria, but not for the people who are alive, but those who are dead. As there is a place known as Living Memory, where all the dead of Alexandria are kept. There they become what is known as endless, basically virtual representations of the people they were, and they can keep on living their life within sort of a paradise. But to fuel all of this, they need immense amount of power. And their way to get it is by killing the people outside of the dome. We defeat Eorzea, but this is where Queen Sveen turns hostile against us. She grabs the key Eorzea used to open the City of Gold. This artifact notably has the symbol of a seam on it, though we don't know why yet. And then Queen Sveen makes a run for it to Living Memory, which is in fact not on the source, but seems to be located on the original shard Alexandria comes from. We give chase to Living Memory, where we find a beautiful virtual world of comfort and joy. There are several massive towers scattered around the area. These are like servers that store the Endless. And this is also where we meet Kakia, Erenwild's mother, who confirms that she is indeed dead. And she tells us the only solution, who is now starting to try to fuse Alexandria with our own world, which would kill a lot of people. We have to turn off all the servers, which will kill the Endless, and Queen Sveen as well. So we go around Living Memory doing just that. During our journey there, we meet Kryle's parents, who tell us how the Lalafell of Alexandria are actually originally from the source, but when a disaster happened, they used the key to travel to Alexandria. And an organization in Alexandria ended up studying the key, the same group who then wanted to study Kryle when she was discovered to have the echo. Kryle's parents therefore used the key to actually make contact with the source again, to get Kryle to safely, giving her to what would become her adoptive grandfather, and handing over the key as well, fully stopping Alexandria from being able to take over more areas. And it was working until Eorzea got the key and started everything up again. Kryle does get a chance to say goodbye to her parents, just like Erenwild gets the chance to say goodbye to his mother. But in the end, they are endless, and as we turn off the servers, they all get turned off as well. In the end, we do manage to fight Queen Sveen and kill her, stopping the harvest of the people of our star, and destroying the whole Endless system, including deactivating the memory system. So for the first time, the people of Alexandria remember somebody who died. They remember Queen Sveen, they are aware of her death, and now they have to figure out how to deal with it. Especially now without a ruler, the next in line is Gululja, who is now assisted by the people of Oblivion as this new Alexandria enters a period of major change while we celebrate our victory with the end of 7.0. Though in 7.1 we were invited back to Alexandria to attend Sveen's funeral. After attending, we learn that Gululja wants to know more about his mother. This search leads us to an abandoned research facility where Suralja and a female Mamulja named Tesalja were part of experimenting with soul transfer on captive beasts. Tesalja seems to have pushed Suralja to have a relationship with her, which brought on a child. The lab is now in ruins, things clearly went terribly wrong, and it's not entirely clear what happened to his mother. But we know that Gululja ended up alone. When we return to the city, we find the people at the funeral having worked themselves up into frenzy about the fact that they can now die. But that is when everything changes. Sveen shows up again, or at least a new version of her avatar. And when we try to ask around, we learn that the people have completely forgotten about her death, and they believe the funeral is not for her, but for those who died in Suralja's attack. As the people beg her for a solution to their fear, she tells them that they are in fact working on a solution. New regulators are being handed out, known as neo-regulators, and those will be used to turn all of the people of Alexandria into endless. But at the moment, this offer can only extend to 5,000 citizens as they simply do not have the ether stores needed or more. Knowing there is not much we can do right now, as the people have forgotten everything, and there is definitely something going on, we retreat to figure out what our next step will be. The final cutscene of patch 7.2 shows Jael and Yistola visiting Living Memory, and an unseen figure is approaching them only to collapse. And with that, we will be starting 7.2. I do hope this short recap was helpful and caught you up to speed on what has happened so far. If you found this helpful, make sure to give me a commendation by liking and subscribing, and even sharing it with a friend or your free company. And in the end, all I want to say is tack för att horva och the yndislega dag.